Kitty, I love you. That was what my husband confessed when we were sharing a passionate moment last night. Romantic, right? Except that my name isn't Kitty. Who is Kitty? I asked him in his hazy state. My arms froze around his body. He never called me that before. Wesley hardly came home after our honeymoon, blaming it on work. Sometimes, I would see him once a month, but if I was lucky, twice. Last night was one of those times when I tried to get some intimacy from him because, after our wedding night approximately a year and a half ago, he never initiated it. I knew that booze could give people the courage to do or say things they wouldn't normally entertain, so when he pushed me onto our bed, I was beyond ecstasy. As an orphan, my husband was my everything, and I gave him my all. My love, affection, assets, and everything that defines me. He accepted me at my darkest point in life, and I had sworn to love him my whole life. I don't know if I was being insecure, but when the name slipped out of his mouth, I felt like a bucket of cold water had been poured over me, snapping me awake. I tried to shake him awake, but the attempt was unsuccessful. Wesley mumbled something incoherent and drifted off to sleep. Was he cheating on me? I couldn't control myself from thinking about the ugly possibility. Tears welled up in my eyes, but he never knew in his sound sleep. I couldn't sleep throughout last night, kept wondering where I went wrong, and knowing I probably looked like a mess the next morning, but he was well-dressed and good-looking after having his shower. Morning, babe, sorry I was drunk last night. I got carried away by the success of the company these days. It was clear that Wesley had forgotten everything he said last night, and the pain was too unbearable. Who is Kitty? I asked. His gaze squinted, and guilt flashed in his eyes, but it was gone within a blink. Wondering why I was so calm? Trust me, I have no idea, or maybe it was because I had no one. Not even a best friend. I am a very reserved person, so when I fell in love, I wanted it to be forever, and my partner became my everything after my parents died. Excuse me? Wesley was the perfect gentleman, and for a moment, I would have thought I was insane or imagining things, but I heard it all clearly. You mentioned her name last night, I reminded him, wanting to scrub my body of all the bodily contracts I had with him, and the fact that most of them were initiated by me. I must be calling you my Kitty because you are so pure and sweet, he smiled at me, straightening his necktie. Was that so? Because he was never like this before. I felt stupid for not recording his words last night, but I'd be prepared next time. If there was going to be a next time. Since Wesley was rarely home, I put my insecurities aside for a moment and asked him what had been bothering me. Wesley, when will the mansion be done? We can't live with your parents and siblings forever. This was the fourth time I raised this concern. My in-laws have been a thorn in my flesh ever since moving into our matrimonial home. It was just a month after we got married, and they had never left since then. Wesley always turned a blind eye, but I hoped his response would be different from the last time, but sadly, it was the same old story. Babe, the mansion will be ready soon, so we shall just move out and leave them here alone. You don't have to worry. He leaned in for a kiss, but I turned my head to the side before his lips met my cheek. There was a look of surprise in his eyes because this was the first time I rejected any form of closeness with him, but I was too revolted to allow him close to me and couldn't care, especially when his explanations about Kitty felt weird. Then get me some domestic workers. I'm so tired every day. I didn't mind before, but now, I needed the time to investigate what I found out last night without making him suspicious. You don't like managing the company, so what else will keep you busy if we get domestic workers? Look, I'm running late already. Don't worry about breakfast. Wesley rushed out of the room as if he was being chased, and I sat back to wallow in my melancholy. This was not the life I chose, but this is what life gave me after my dream and career was destroyed by a scandal. I was set up and my reputation was completely destroyed. For the better of the family, I became a housewife, leaving my husband Wesley to run the company. I went to the kitchen to make some food and was instantly depressed. His father was watching TV so early in the morning, and his mother was painting her nails. I don't remember the last time a young woman like me had a manicure. I was just 26, and as they lazed about, I was left to do the chores alone. We were rich enough to afford help, but Wesley said it would keep me busy. I didn't mind before, but now, I seemed to be waking up from sleep. You are getting lazy, Molly. My son is working so hard every day so you can stay at home, yet he can't even have his breakfast. Wesley's mother gloated, and I began to see clearly what I had become to them. A maid. I had wanted to make them happy and welcomed at home in the past that I did not realize how I had been taken for granted. You guys were already up, why didn't you help me with the breakfast? You weren't occupied after all. I tied my apron and said back to Wesley's mom. My patience already ran out. How rude. Is this the way you talk to your in-laws? We are your guests and you are the hostess. How could you ask your guest to cook for you? She screamed, clearly surprised by my attitude. I never talked back to them before. A guest only stays for a few days, not months, I pointed out calmly. When we just got married, things weren't like this. Wesley told me he was going to love me and protect me with his whole life. His parents also welcomed me with warm hugs. Looking back now, they might have only welcomed my money. Now that they got the inheritance and company, they started to see me as a burden. My son works his ass off to make the company run and feed the whole family so you don't need to work. Yet see what his ungrateful wife has been saying to his parents. The life you live now is because of my parents' inheritance. Mind you, the company your son is running is also my parents', and legally speaking it belongs to me. I was fuming when I said it out. Thinking of my parents, tears stung the corner of my eyes, but I won't let them fall. After marriage, I signed over my inheritance to Wesley because I trusted that him could take care of them. But now it seems to be a huge mistake and insult to my parents. I stormed out of living room, ignoring their further insults behind me. I needed a plan to take back what belonged to me and my parents. I needed to take control of my life again. And to do that, I need to take an investigation on Wesley and that Kitty woman. Only a few days later though, I received a message from Wesley, inviting me to visit the new mansion. I was surprised, not only because I wasn't aware it was ready this soon, but also what we just went through earlier. Maybe he wanted to use this chance to make an apology. I wasn't going to let things go easily this time. Arriving at the mansion though, I was truly astonished. The elegance of the mansion was enviable. It had everything I dreamed of. That's Mrs. Thompson, Mr. Thompson's wife. She's so lucky to have a husband like him. He really spoils her, doesn't he? I heard a woman say and glanced briefly in her direction. Wesley had said he was having a party and ribbon cutting to welcome me to the house, but only his friends attended because I had no one. Sorry, I'm late. Do you like it? He leaned in for a kiss, but I wasn't fast enough to dodge it, and it landed on my cheek. I haven't seen the inside, but yes, was my honest reply, which got him excited. Great. His hand rested at the small of my back, but unfortunately, there were too many eyes on us, and I couldn't pull away, even as I felt my skin crawl from his touch. The touch I used to long for was now a thing of disgust to me. Walking together, everyone would think we were a loving couple, but it had been far from that. We opened the door, but that was when my knees felt weak. The color drained from Wesley's face as well, but everything was made clear. My heart was completely shattered, and I could not take it anymore. Daddy, Daddy. Molly's POV, a young little boy, looking exactly like my husband, ran to his side. Gasps erupted around the room, and I could feel the stunned silence enveloping us like a thick fog. Guests exchanged bewildered glances, their expressions morphing from curiosity to disbelief. Who was this kid? And why was he calling Wesley Daddy? Not only that, the mansion my husband claimed to build for me had pictures of himself and a woman displayed everywhere. Intimate photos that caused the gazes of these strangers to pin on me. I had endured a lot of shame in my life, but this? I wanted to dig a hole and bury myself in it, the disgrace, causing my knees to wobble. A cold realization hit me. I was the one who came between them. We got married after 2 months of dating, so I knew Wesley for 2 years and 2 months, whereas he had a son who was over 3. I did not get the chance to stabilize myself when I heard him mention the familiar name once more. Kitty, what are you doing here, and why did you put those pictures on the wall? I snapped my head to see who this Kitty was, and there I saw the woman who was not only Wesley's mistress but also my kid's sister. Rage surged inside of me. I could feel my blood boil. Kiara, whom I had not seen for over 3 years, was my husband's mistress. The cheating, lying bastard took me for a fool, saying he didn't know what I was talking about when I mentioned Kitty. It's about time she knows. You said you were going to divorce her after the mansion was ready, so here you are. I prepared everything for you, Kiara said without a hint of guilt in her eyes, presenting some documents to him. I partly guessed they were the divorce papers, as she lifted her son in her arms, giving her to a woman I assumed to be a nanny. 4 years ago, my singing career was at its peak. Only one night later my life was destroyed, and I fell from grace to grass. I woke up in an empty hotel room with a heavy hangover from last night's celebration banquet. I didn't know how I ended up there, but when I left the room, intimate pictures of me and my producer were circulated all over the internet and magazines, framing me for being a homewrecker. No one would believe me when I said I knew nothing about it. I felt no different that morning, meaning nothing had happened between us, but an impression formed was too hard to erase. Don't ask me how I managed to dodge waves of angry fans who raged like they wanted to eat me whole. My producer wanted nothing to do with me, and he used the worst way to cut ties with me, signing my sister. She accepted the offers quickly and happily, not caring about my feelings at all. Painful as it was for me, all my unreleased songs were sung by Kiara after, aiding her quick rise. I had no idea how she laid hands on the songs I worked so hard on. Kiara's fame was rising so fast, coupled with the fact that she spearheaded the spread of the scandal, gaining the attention and favor of my producers and fans. The more I fell, the greater she rose. As my fiancé at the time, Wesley still decided to marry me despite my scandal, and that truly saved me from the darkest hellhole. His perfect act of love blinded me so much that I trusted him so fast, and now this. Wesley, how could you do this to me? You knew about the scandal, yet you let this happen again. Everything collapsed around me, making my eyes blurry. I felt weak and alone in the midst of wolves with no one to comfort me, just like it happened 4 years ago. I'm sorry, everyone, but the party's over. Security, see them out, I heard Wesley announce in a heavy voice. He waited for his guests to leave before responding to my heartbreaking accusation. Look, I tried, but I don't feel attracted to you. This might be Kitty's idea, but I wanted to end things with you too. I just couldn't find the right time to do so. I didn't realize it when my lips stretched. It was a smile, but it was filled with so much bitterness that it made me want to puke. Even though I have been preparing myself for the possibility that my husband has been cheating on me, when the truth is revealed, it still hits hard. My life was ruined the second time. Kiara won again. I don't understand why she always wants to build her success on destroying my life, but I don't care anymore. This time, I was going to take my life in my own hand. I would face my fears, including the slander, and make my life better because I still had the company. The company my parents poured their heart and soul into. They encouraged me to co-manage the company when I ceased my singing career, but I wasn't too confident in doing so at that time due to the situation at hand, so Wesley took that position from me and helped the company escape the predicament caused by my scandal and grow bigger. I was once very grateful for him taking care of it like his own business, but the thoughts turned sour when his parents constantly accused me of living an easy life by not helping with the company. As if Wesley would give me a chance when I asked for it. He said running a company was too complicated. Since my parents passed away, the company became my only link to them, and I won't give it away to some despicable cheater and his cunning mistress. Okay. I will sign the divorce papers, but I need my company back. I removed the ring from my finger, throwing it at him. Wesley's expression changed at the demand, no longer remorseful like before. That is not possible. You know how much I have invested in and sacrificed for this company when it's experiencing the downturn. It's already a completely different company from what it was at the start. I was completely shocked. Are you stealing the company from me? You said you were just helping. You signed everything over to me. Let's not forget that. You lured me. You told me you couldn't secure new contracts with investors knowing that the company belonged to me because of the scandal, I reminded him, rage bubbling in my heart. I had been a fool the whole time. My parents passed away after we got married. I had no one to help me but him, the perfect angel, unknown that he was a demon. Come on, sis, I'm equally entitled to everything because Dad left it for both of us. Kiara's grating voice sounded close to me. A smug smile lifted the corner of her lips. You were never there for us when Dad was ill. They left everything for me, I reminded her. As soon as I was kicked out of the entertainment industry by producers, Kiara's fame rose beyond limits. We were nothing to her, and she never recognized our parents nor respected them for anything since she started to get fame. Even when I called to inform her about our parents' funeral, she told me to let the dead bury their dead. I wanted to do the right thing, so I called her again when the will was being read, but she rubbed it in my face, saying she wasn't interested in peanuts. Then as fast as she rose, her fame died because none of the songs she wrote ever sold. She had run out of the stolen songs, and she did not have the creativity to create more. With her doing this, I believe she went bankrupt along the way. Molly, why are you so dumb? Do you think the will is still legal when you are not my parents' biological daughter? What? The shock was enough to get me back on my feet. That isn't true. I have all the DNA tests to prove, including these pictures. Turns out my parents found you when your parents' car had an accident and adopted you. I stared at the pictures and documents she stuffed into my hands with blurry eyes, wondering why I was still alive and not dead. This was too much for me to take, as Kiara continued to hit me where it hurts most. So why should an adopted child get everything a legitimate child wouldn't? I never knew about this, but if it were indeed true, then why did my adopted parents still will everything to me? If they knew about my parentage before giving me everything, then how is that my fault? You were just a shameless brat who never made them proud. Oh, I must have said too much because my face burnt from the sting of Kiara's slap. My ears buzzed and my head spinned. I met her menacing glare with my own and raised my hand, only to be stopped by my own husband. I'm sorry, but I can't let you hit her. I quickly pulled my hand away and stared at him with disgust. Don't ever touch me again. Kiara always had her way with everything since we were kids, and the only time I got something was my parents' will, and yet, she still stole everything from me again and again. Shut it, Molly. I always thought everything belonged to you and have been very gentle towards you, but turns out, you are just a shameless rag like my parents said. That was Wesley, but his words no longer mattered to me, though it hurts how I have been a fool to desire him so much, thinking he was mine. Kiara had a victorious smile on her face, wrapping her arms around Wesley's neck and kissing him on the lips. Wesley welcomed her, and after pulling away, she faced me with their arms wrapped around each other. I already prepared everything for you, Molly. Sign the papers and get the heck out. And stop trying to get your hands on the company. It belongs to those who truly deserve it, not to say I lawfully own it now. Don't make things ugly for yourself. I was shaking from boiling rage. I still have the will, the lawyers, and all to attest that everything belongs to me. My parents left them for me. They aren't your parents, and I already gave you proof. Out of here before I get the guards to throw you out. If you like, you could be my maid, she sniggered. Now I understand. Every single one of those I once considered family, Wesley, Kiara, and very likely Wesley's parents, was conspiring together behind my back to steal everything from me and my parents. How could I have been so blind not to see through all this, and allow my life to fall apart into millions of pieces? You, I looked at both of them, will regret this one day. It wasn't a threat. I was willing to work my head off to get the money to hire the best attorneys. This was not going to end here. Oh, poor thing. You couldn't even get pregnant. Who knows? You might just be barren, and this is what you deserve. I hate you with my soul, Molly. You got the voice and talent I always dreamed of and all the love of my parents. Sign the divorce papers and get out, she reminded me. I always loved her and treated her like a sister would, but today, she declared exactly what she always harbored in her heart. I didn't believe that my parents adopted me. I felt she was saying that to cover up something, but I needed time to claim back all that belonged to me. With that thought, I summoned my last bit of confidence and said, I'll sign the papers, just send them to my email. I need to let my attorney go through them first. Kiara wanted to protest, but Wesley stopped her. Sure thing. But you can't run away from me, Molly, Wesley said with a cold smile. Wherever you go, I will find you, but the next time I see you, I won't be as nice. So think twice and be smart. I ignored him and left the mansion. I couldn't stay with them for another second. I had no one, nowhere to go. So, I decided to check my bank account. I still had my purse with the card I had before marriage but no cash. I was just realizing that I had been kept at home without seeing the outside world for all these years. My mother-in-law bought everything we needed at home, and I cooked and cleaned every day. Wesley and Kiara played me so well. There was just $2,000 in my bank account, but I had no idea where to start. Was there even a motel close by? This area was foreign to me, and I could not trust anyone for guidance. I don't know how long I walked, but it grew dark, and I continued walking aimlessly, not caring who looked at me until I saw a lot of cars. Girls with skimpy clothes were walking in. This was one of the places I met with other celebrities during my time of fame. It was a club, so I figured I'd just get a drink to numb my sorrow, even if it were just for a night. It was over 4 years since I was kicked out of the music industry, so no one would recognize me, but how wrong I was for entering there. I soon regretted it. Molly's POV. Molly's POV. Molly. Molly Campbell, a female voice yelled my maiden name right at the entrance. I turned around, about to leave, but she caught up to me and held me by the shoulder. Molly, where have you been? She asked, warmth and relief resonating from her. However, I had faced too much betrayal to trust anyone or believe that she genuinely cared. What if she was there to mock me like the others before? It's nothing. I have to go. I turned to leave, but she blocked my path. Our eyes met, and I could see the hurt in her eyes. Yet, she still comforted me. It's okay. I can give you a shoulder to lean on. You can't be coming here alone at this hour for no reason. We weren't exactly friends, but that doesn't mean I don't care or believe in the rumors. Nora was one of my backup singers by then, and her care broke me into pieces. What I so desired from family, I was getting from a stranger I never cared much about before. All I want is something to ease the pain. Do you have any hard drinks? I asked, feeling pathetic in my situation. Nora was in casual clothes, so I could not tell what she was doing there, and her tag was flipped. This is a club. Of course, we do, but I won't advise you to mingle. Those rich folks can be dangerous. She wasn't pretending, and that made me understand that there were still a few kind people out there. I didn't have a choice but to trust her. You have no idea what I have been through. All right, come with me. Her voice was tranquil, and as if she knew I was going to refuse, she held my hand firmly and led me to one of the VIP booths. But I pulled her back. I had to be honest with her. I can't afford a place like this. Don't worry. It's on the house. I'm the manager here, so let's say today is your lucky day. She left and returned with some drinks, and I gulped down the first glass she filled for me. I'm such a fool, Nora. The liquor helped me to open up, and she comforted me. No, you are not. I felt she was saying it because she didn't know what I had been through. After gulping down 3 glasses of martini, it was as if my parrot mode was activated. I never talked much, but after losing everything, there was nothing to lose by letting it out. My dignity and everything that made me, had already been taken away. You can sell my necklace, shoes, and dress to foot the bill. They are worth over $1 million. These were expensive items my parents gifted me on different birthdays before their passing, and they were very expensive. Drowsiness was taking a toll on me, so I let out a yawn after narrating everything to her. She didn't judge me, only offering to help. Let me get you a room. We can go to my place after. You don't deserve this, Molly. I believe you. I wish I had been nicer to her in my times of fame. Perhaps we would have been good friends, and maybe, just maybe, I would not have ended up with Wesley. I want to pee, I said to her. She stood up and held out her hand to me. Come with me. I saw the signposts, so I knew where the restroom was. I can take care of myself. No, you are drunk. Someone might take advantage of you, she said seriously. Worry dulled her eyes, and it felt strange that she cared so much. I mean, it would be okay if she showed me sympathy, but she actually cared. As soon as we stepped out of the booth, a waiter approached her. Ma'am, we need help with a difficult client in booth 5. Nora did not seem like she wanted to leave me alone. Get Samson to take care of it. But the waiter insisted. He's already handling another problem in booth 3. Nora stared helplessly at me, but I assured her. I will be fine. I will wait here for you. The restroom is that way, she showed me, but as soon as she turned around, I saw a smirk in the corner of the waitress' lips, but I was too drowsy to care. I staggered to the restroom with the loud music hitting my eardrum, but when I returned, there were two men in my booth. What are you doing here? I slurred. One of them smirked. Beauty is back. My heart dropped to my stomach, and I looked around for Nora, but I couldn't find her. Beauty was a taunting word they used during the time of my fall. Most people addressed me as a beauty without brains, so I knew that these men recognized me. Everyone was somewhat busy, drinking, dancing, or doing whatever made them happy. I caught the wrist of one of the waiters. Where is Nora? I asked him. Boss could be anywhere, he shrugged and pulled his hand away. I felt a hand wrapped around my waist. It was one of the men in the VIP booth. Come on, drink some more. He offered me a glass of liquor after dragging me back to the booth, but I could not accept it. I was nervous. No. I've had enough. Who said you have a choice? Kiara paid us very well to take good care of you, the second man said leisurely, staring at me like a piece of trash. Hearing her name, uncontrollably tears escaped from my eyes. So, it was Kiara again. After taking everything, what else did they want from me? I felt a harsh pain in my scalp, making me scream, but the loud music dominated my voice, as my head was tilted backward, and the drink was forced down my throat. It burned, and my eyes blurred with tears, but I began to feel strange. It was the same thing that happened 4 years ago, and all I wished for was death before it happened, but I was too weak. The blend of booze and whatever was in that drink they gave me was too much for someone who had not taken any strong drink in 2 years. Don't worry, everything will be recorded, just so you won't say that we forced you. Tears streamed down my cheeks. I felt helpless, and yet, worse things awaited me. We have to show her the video first, the guy who dragged me into the booth said and brought out his phone. On the screen was a video of Kiara. Big sister, I just thought you should pay for being with my man for 2 years. If you don't sign the divorce paper within 7 days, this video will be played to the public, just like old times. Wesley appeared beside her, nibbling her ears as she moaned before saying, and that reminds me. If you fail to show up at the court, the video will still be aired. Enjoy, my big sister. The video ended, and I felt numb. There must be something in the drink that makes me so uncomfortable, reminding me of all that I went through 4 years ago. It was a mistake for me to come here, but now, it was too late to escape. With all my dignity gone, all I could do was beg. No, please don't do this, I cried, looking around for any sign of Nora, but she wasn't there. I was lifted off my feet, but my body was feeling funny as he walked through the crowd of dancers into a room. I knew that something was not right, but I lost control and began removing my clothes. I was feeling too hot, I needed a release. This is going to be fun, I heard one of the men say, as they began to undress, but a force so strong sent the door flying in the air, and 3 men walked in. I saw blurrily, Nora behind them, but I couldn't hear what they were saying. Someone covered me with his jacket, and I wrapped myself around him. His scent was so calming, but I couldn't hear anything he said to me. Words were coming out of my mouth, but they weren't making sense as when we got to a much bigger room. I couldn't see his face, only my body being immersed in cold water. I liked it because of how hot I was feeling before. I could not remember anymore, as everything turned dark. I don't know for how long I drowned in my unconscious state, but I woke up in a strange luxurious room with a painful headache. As if that was not enough, there was a strange man in the bed with me. Wait, why did he look so familiar? Author's note. Thank you for your support. Please vote for the book on the main page and leave a review to attract more readers. Your feedback is greatly appreciated. Molly's POV. I woke up in a strange luxurious room with a painful headache. As if that was not enough, a man was in the bed with me. Remembering the events of last night was a complete disaster, increasing the pain in my head, so I sneaked out of bed, my heart heavy with fear, making me wonder why my life always turned out like this. Why was there so much pain in my life? This reminded me so much of what happened 4 years ago. I did not want it to happen again. His face was buried in the pillow, but my heart rate was already uncontrollable. What if he was somebody's husband like my former producer? How could I have allowed this to happen again? I cursed myself internally, hating the fact that I had been foolish twice because of a strong drink. Checking myself, I find that there hadn't been anything happened between us though, except that this time, my clothes had been changed. Where do I begin searching for them, including my diamond necklace? That was a gift from my mother. Those two men, I wondered what happened to them and if they had taken my diamond necklace. Still, what mattered was for me to get out of here before another scandal happened, but I could not help wondering where Nora was. I remembered her from last night, but most of the events after that were blurry, and I hadn't taken her number either. I almost thought I had escaped this one smoothly when my back was harshly pinned against the wall. The swift movement scared me out of my wits, a familiar and yet fearful voice heated my ears, forcing me to focus my gaze on the man before me, his arms caging me, pinning my back against the door. Strangely, his morning breath was rather minty, unlike the bad breath Wesley always woke up with. Is this how you repay me after I saved your life? His voice was a little familiar but also mixed with power and dominion. I was trying to avoid eye contact, due to the shame I felt in my heart for allowing this to happen. It seemed that I was indeed unhurt, and I could vaguely recall the shadow figure appearing before the two men before I lost consciousness. Determined to show my apology, I looked him in the eye, but the realization suddenly hit me. Gianni. Memories from 6 years ago tentatively flooded my mind, the last part being the most painful. It was during my high school days. I went to eat in a restaurant when I saw him. So handsome and so wild. His food was served, and he stood up to answer a call. It was brief, but one of his friends was pouring a whitish substance into his food. I videoed it in time and stopped him from eating. When he returned, I showed the video to him, making him force his friend to eat the food. The rest was resolved at the hospital. He found me a few days later to thank me with a bouquet of roses. His gesture touched my heart, and we fell in love. He told me how his friend confessed to wanting to get rid of him because of jealousy. He didn't say more, especially when I asked about his family, but since then, he was always there for me, even during prom. That was how he became my high school sweetheart, even when he was already in college. I enrolled in college too, and during my second year, he came to visit, and that was when he took my virginity. It was an unforgettable night, but when I woke up, he was gone. There was no note or trace, and his phone was out of coverage area. Ugly thoughts came to me when I realized I could be tricked. But who would spend years to do this, and make it so real, just to take a girl's cherry? Especially for a charming man like him? When my rage faded, I began to get worried. Hope failed me when I didn't hear from him for months, eventually accepting that perhaps he died in an accident or something worse, because if not, then why would he leave me like that? Without a trace. I'm so sorry, Molly, I never meant to hurt you, I heard him say, but all I felt was the anger boiling inside of me. His betrayal was the worst I ever faced, only living with it after accepting, or should I rather say that I convinced myself that he was dead. I don't know what came over me, but my hand lifted before I could stop it, and I stood on my toes, releasing the hardest slap of my life, but the tall man before me was unhinged. Only my palm burned from the slap I gave him. It made me furious, and I began hitting him in the chest. So, you are alive. Tears burned in the corner of my eyes, warmly flowing down my cheeks, as my punches began to weaken. He has grown stronger than I ever saw him, as if he was made of steel. My aching fingers forced me to stop, as I hugged myself in the end, like the temperature in the room just dropped. Gio, or Gianni. He loved whichever way I called him back then, but my legs felt like jelly when I looked closely at him. He had changed so much, and I could not tell what it was. His hair color was still a dark shade like before, just like his eyes, but there was a strange aura around him that made me wonder what he had been up to. Did I do something wrong? My voice came out as a whisper. I hated him so much after what he did to me that I tried to forget about him. I succeeded, except that our paths crossed again in the most unexpected way. Remorse shone in his eyes, but I could not feel any form of pity for him, only hatred. It wasn't your fault. There was something I needed to take care of urgently, but getting home was worse than I thought. That should be a tale for babies, not a woman of the 21st century. Not even a phone call. Sarcasm laced my voice. I could not believe a word he said to me, because I was the kind who trusted only once. I'm sorry, Molly, but I had reasons, Gianni said, his expression toughened. Right, after all these years all I deserve to hear is till I had reasons. Like I would still care anymore. Thank you for saving me last night. We are even now. Adrenaline surged through me, and I garnered the strength to open the door, but it was locked. You have nothing, Molly, you can't leave. His words intensified my headache, and I could not hold it in. My head, I groaned. He hastened to the drawers and took out some pills before pouring me a glass of water. This will make you feel better. I feared a little, remembering how I was knocked out last night and could not remember much of it, but if you saved me from those men. What's in this for you? I asked suspiciously. His expression grew tighter than before. Giovanni had changed so much that I could not detect if his expression meant anger or confusion, but there was something so scary about him any time our gazes met. You think it was me last night? The understanding was clear that he was upset. I swallowed the pill and drank the water. I know it wasn't you. But why are you here? Lie on the bed for a while, he instructed, ignoring my question. No. I have to go. The headache was reducing anyway, but that was when he reminded me. Molly. I know you need help. Let me help you, just to make up for old times. I averted my eyes from his intense gaze. I indeed had nowhere to go, and those divorce documents were still in my email, so how could I forget Wesley and Kiara's warning? I needed a lawyer, but I did not know if it was right to take advantage of Giovanni. He hurt me before, so I don't have to feel guilty using him to get back at Wesley and Kiara, right? How do you plan to help me? I asked seriously, wanting to know if we were on the same page. I will help you regain all that you lost. I have the best lawyer to work for you, and while you have no place to go, you can stay in one of the spare rooms at my place. My house is spacious, Giovanni said in a way like it was the most natural thing to say. Nora's POV Molly Campbell was a renowned star whose music captivated audiences worldwide, making her the object of desire for many. However, an unfortunate incident led to her being dubbed Beauty Without Brains by envious women. Despite rumors that she traded favors with producers for fame, I knew Molly to be kind-hearted and honorable. When I approached her to join her backup singers, she welcomed me warmly after my voice passed the test, a gesture that other celebrities had denied me. Her generosity left a lasting impression on me. Hitherto, when her career took a downturn, so did mine as a backup singer, forcing me to work as a waitress until a life-changing opportunity arose 2 years ago. Giovanni Dawson, the CEO of Dawson's Group, acquired this club and entrusted me with its management, along with others in different states, under certain conditions. His associates had informed him of my connection to Molly, whom he sought. After convincing him that I truly had no knowledge of her whereabouts, he assigned me the task, just like he did with other managers in different states and countries, despite knowing she was married. Molly used to enjoy places like this, but ever since her scandal, she disappeared, so it wasn't surprising that Dawson bought this place in hopes of attracting her. However, his motive for this pursuit remained a mystery to everyone. We were instructed to notify him immediately if we had any leads on her location, but as the years passed without any sign of her, my hope dwindled, especially since we had no information about Molly's husband. Last night felt like a miracle when an IT officer alerted me about a familiar figure in the parking lot. I hurried there and confirmed it was her, visibly distressed and eager to leave. I managed to persuade her to stay and informed John Dawson over the phone while fetching her a drink. "Boss, Molly is here," I reported. "Don't play games with me," he coldly responded, but I overheard him instructing someone to head to the Manhattan Club. Uncertain of the arrival time, I did my best to keep Molly there until he showed up, and to my surprise, she opened up to me about her situation. My heart ached for her, and despite my fear of Don Dawson, I wished suffering upon Molly's ex-husband and sister. My mistake was leaving her alone in her intoxicated state to use the restroom. Upon returning, I discovered that the troublesome client in booth 5 had already left, according to Ursula, the waitress who reported the incident. As I rushed back, Molly was nowhere to be found in her booth, and Ursula mentioned another peculiar incident. Suspicions arose as I realized that the situation seemed to be resolved strangely, leading me to question Ursula's credibility. It appeared that she might have been fabricating issues to divert my attention from Molly, who still had numerous enemies in the club due to past grievances. Concerned for Molly's safety, I frantically asked Ursula about her whereabouts, only to be met with a shocked expression. "Who? Who is Molly? She asked, leaving me unfazed by her reaction, considering the urgency of finding Molly in a potentially dangerous situation. With half the club familiar with Molly, I couldn't afford to waste time on someone who seemed oblivious to her existence. Every moment lost increased the risk to Molly's well-being. About to alert the IT department to check the cameras, Don Dawson arrived, using his private elevator. Where is she? He demanded, his voice cold and frightening. Ursula had disappeared into the midst of dancing customers, increasing my suspicions. There were rumors that Don Dawson had a woman and a son, so his search for Molly was just too weird. Not only that, his business extended into the Mafia, and most people who went missing were ones who must have offended him in one way or another. At this point, I was afraid of the worst. Don, she went to the restroom, but I can't find her. His pitch-black glare, filled with disappointment and pain, caused a strange weakness to cruise through my legs. I almost lost my balance. It slowly dawned on me, the reason Don Dawson was nicknamed the Devil in White. He hated dirt, and the only black thing on him was his curly hair. To some, it was easy to recognize any dirt, for which reason Don Dawson was always clad in white, but others said it was his style of measuring strength. If the Devil in White got his attire stained in a fight, then he would accept defeat, which has never happened. He always defeated his opponents without staining his attire. Find her, he ordered his bodyguards, and even with the loud music, his voice was clear. Any clues? He asked me. I quickly remembered the waitress, Ursula. One of my waitresses told me to check on an emergency twice, and both times I did, but they had been resolved, or there was nothing to begin with. I didn't have to explain further. He already understood what I meant. Get her. I easily found Ursula and silently led her to the booth. Don Dawson gave me a stern look, and I knew what he wanted, so I kicked Ursula in the stomach. She winced in pain, letting out a groan. Tell me where Molly is, or you'll get more, Don Dawson growled. It was no secret that a kick from Don Dawson could be fatal. Trembling like a frightened animal, Ursula whispered, Room 403. It wasn't me. Don Dawson passed by her and ordered, lock her up. I was about to follow his command when he stopped me. You're coming with me. Zach, lock her up. Nelson and Jace, come with me. We trailed behind him, and when we reached room 403, Don Dawson's powerful kick sent the door flying, showcasing the reason for his nickname. Who could survive such force? He was always cold, but now he seemed angrier than ever. His bodyguards swiftly subdued two men before I spotted Molly in just her underwear. Tears welled up in my eyes. Don't kill them yet, Don Dawson's icy voice lingered in the room. If we had hesitated even for a moment, Molly would have been in grave danger. Don Dawson was visibly shaken, his usually composed demeanor faltering. In a surprising move, he removed his white jacket and draped it over Molly. To my astonishment, he then lifted her gently in his arms. Even his bodyguards, who had returned from securing the two men, were taken aback by his unexpected display of care. His voice when he spoke to her was different from how he spoke to anyone else. It's okay. You're safe now. No one will hurt you again. I heard Molly mutter, fuck me, in a voice that didn't sound like hers, and it dawned on me that she had been drugged, and it was my fault. I should never have left her alone, no matter what the emergency was. But then again, Don Dawson wouldn't take advantage of her, would he? He carried her to the presidential suite and gestured for me to follow. Prepare the bath, he commanded, with his bodyguards waiting outside the door. I complied, and he took her to the bathroom, motioning for me to come along. Molly was submerged in the cold water before he left the room. I took over from there, cleaning her up and dressing her in a gown. When I finished, he returned to carry her to bed. That's all for tonight, but you'll be sleeping in the adjacent room in case I need you. Molly's POV, you can stay in one of the spare rooms at my place. My house is spacious, Giovanni said in a way like it was the most natural thing to say. I was far from ready to stay with my ex-boyfriend. I was too torn, too exhausted to handle the tingling sensations and the sparks his gaze and touch still ignited in me, yet I couldn't help with it. He looked different now, more mature, and more masculine, even a bit dangerous, and I was afraid of seeing the same boy I once loved beneath it all. That would unearth too many emotions I had long buried. I can rent an apartment myself, I said. That would be unnecessary. Plus, seeing what happened today, it would be dangerous for you to live on your own, Gianni said like there was no space to argue. Can I see the divorce papers? Without hesitation, I opened my email on my phone and handed it to him, but he declined to take the phone. Instead, he wrote down his email address and instructed me to forward the documents. After reviewing them, he was about to speak when my phone rang. Seeing the caller ID, I felt a wave of nausea but answered the call, seething. What do you want? Wesley's voice remained irritatingly calm, and I braced myself for more hurtful words from his accomplice, who surprisingly wasn't with him this time. Otherwise, she wouldn't hesitate to hurl insults my way, which I had grown immune to. I'm just curious where you spent the night. Memories of the video call with the two men flooded back. Wesley and Kiara had orchestrated it. The headache I thought had subsided returned with a vengeance, prompting me to massage my temples as I noticed Giovanni's disapproving expression. I wondered if it was because I had not excused myself before answering the call, but since I already did, I continued the conversation like he didn't exist. After all, he had moved on after breaking me like I didn't matter at all. Oh, I assumed you had received the video by now. Did it meet your expectations? I replied to Wesley's senseless question with a hint of mockery, relishing in his evident frustration. Molly, please be cautious. I'm trying to be civil here, Wesley cautioned. I chuckled in exasperation. If it weren't for him, I wouldn't be in this predicament. Stop pretending. You want me to sign the divorce papers? Don't worry, my lawyer will be in touch, I asserted confidently, having reached an agreement with Gio. Wesley, engrossed in reviewing the divorce agreement, seemed eager to deliver it to me. I can bring it to you, he offered. I couldn't fathom why he thought I would want to see him again. What makes you think I want to see your repulsive face? I might just vomit. You, Wesley Thompson, disgust me, I retorted. A chuckle emanated from the other end of the line, but I remained unfazed, except for the unsettling revelation that piqued my curiosity. I don't care, but in case you're unaware, the two men sent pictures of the three of you together. I can't reach them. I'm wondering where they are, Wesley disclosed. Glancing at Giovanni, I pondered what he might have done to those men. The events leading up to this moment were a blur, and my anger towards Wesley for daring to ask intensified. Wesley, your audacity astounds me. You have the nerve to inquire about the whereabouts of the two men you sent to assault me? I seethed. Our conversation was surreal, and I suspected Wesley hadn't anticipated my response this morning, perhaps waiting for the final sex video. Well, we filed a report with your photo. Since you were the last to see them, if they don't surface by noon, the police will come looking for you, Wesley revealed his true intentions. It cringed me to let Gio know how shameless my own husband was to use all sorts of ways to manipulate my life. But Gio gave me an encouraging nod to go on, which was somehow reassuring. Excellent. I look forward to meeting the police. How do you plan to explain your involvement in their attempted sexual assault on me? The silence on the other end of the line was expected, but after a moment, he spoke up again. Molly, this is more complicated than you realize. Let's meet somewhere, anywhere you choose. I refused to be deceived again, not willing to compromise my safety for him. Wesley, you disgust me. Screw you. I ended the call and powered off my phone, unable to block his number until the divorce was finalized. I couldn't shake off thoughts about the two men and how I ended up in this situation. Only Gio had the answers. Gio, what happened to those men? Did you have them arrested? I wanted justice, but Gio's nonchalant demeanor troubled me. I suggest you focus on the divorce proceedings, he said, disappointment evident in his eyes. Confused, I pressed, what do you mean? My heart raced as Gio delivered a shocking revelation. Molly's POV. I assume you haven't read this yet. He tossed the phone aside, his expression inscrutable. The document had been sent to my email last night, but in my current state of mind, I hadn't been able to bring myself to read it. I'm still upset and not ready to do so, which is why I need a lawyer. His expression was stern, but his tone was surprisingly casual as he delivered the news. Well, Wesley no longer has any properties. I was numb. What? That can't be true, I protested. Was this some kind of joke? I personally signed everything over to him. Giovanni reached for the cigarette again, only to drop it once our eyes met, frustration evident in his gaze as he relayed the message. And he transferred everything into his mother's name. No. That's impossible. My heart raced, my legs feeling weak, but thankfully, I was seated. My stomach churned uncomfortably, Giovanni's words echoing in my mind, his challenging gaze daring me to verify the information in my email if I doubted him. Does Kiara know about this? I asked, realizing the question was pointless. Giovanni had no connection to Wesley or Kiara. He had appeared mysteriously in my life during my lowest point. I have no idea, but what if I train you to reclaim everything? Giovanni suggested, leaving me puzzled. Singing was my only talent, but I hadn't sung in years and had no intention of doing so. How? I inquired, curious about his abilities and background. His years of absence must have led to something, right? Firstly, it's all in your mind, he said seriously, tapping his temple with his forefinger, leaving me perplexed until he clarified, you need to think, Molly. Are you calling me foolish? I felt offended, but his facial expression turned into amusement. I am not. Why haven't you signed the divorce paper already? I answered truthfully. I was afraid of losing everything, so how did he manage to transfer everything to his mother? The shock of the revelation was still sinking in. But you've already lost everything. Signing those papers won't change that. What's holding you back now? Giovanni's words hit me hard, and I felt a pang of shame. He was right. I had nothing to lose now because I had lost everything already. The company my parents worked so hard to build and all their other inheritance have been stolen by Wesley and his family. As much as I didn't want to accept the help from my ex, the man who had abandoned me years ago, I don't have many choices. He could be my best and only shot. Look, I really appreciate your help, but I can't accept your help, unless there is a way for me to pay, I blurted out, his expression softened. You want to pay me for kindness? Though it sounded strange as I would not have charged anyone for being kind to them, our relationship was complicated so I nodded. I don't want to owe him anything, not after what I had been through these years. If you are going to do all this for free, I would feel guilty. Please let me do something, I implored him. That way, I won't feel like a freeloader. Okay, there is one way, he said thoughtfully, my interest piqued. And that is. There is a boy I need you to take care of if you insist on showing appreciation. You can see that as a job, and in return, I will help you regain all that you lost. Okay, I didn't have a kid myself, but I know how to take care of people. But why don't you hire a professional nanny? He was very picky. We have had nannies for him but neither of them could stay. So I have to warn you it could be a very challenging job. Yet you proposed it to me. Yes, because I know you and I believe in you. A weird feeling welled up from my heart but I ignored it. Can I see this bad boy's photo? Reaching into his wallet, Gio pulled out a photo and handed it to me. It was a very cute boy. But seeing his eyes, my heart sank. Is this your son?